Hi, everybody. This is Gat Sad for the Sad Truth. I'm back from San Diego where I attended the Association for Consumer Research Conference. Uh, my co author and former visiting doctoral student presented one of our projects wherein we looked at the effects of oxytocin on brand evaluations. In any case, just got back late last night. Have a bit of a cold, so forgive if I coughed during this clip. As I was starting to catch up with all of my, messages and emails and so on, and social media, I came across this article. It is in a forum called Public Books. The title of I'm not sure if it's a symposium, The Big Picture Confronting Manhood After Trump. Because Trump is so nefarious, he is so influential, that the very definition of manhood is going to change after Trump ascended to the highest office. So there is manhood pre-Trump and there is manhood post-Trump. Sure, definitely no hysteria. So the professor who wrote this article is a individual by the name of Lisa Wade. She's a professor of sociology at Occidental College. I won't read you the whole article, but I have highlighted some, towards the end of the article, some really nice passages. So here we go. If we're going to survive both President Trump and the kind of people he has emboldened, we need to attack masculinity directly. So it's not even toxic masculinity, whatever that means. Masculinity directly. I don't mean that we should recuperate masculinity, that is, press men to identify with a kinder, gentler version of it. I mean that we should reject the idea that men have a psychic need to distinguish themselves from women in order to feel good about themselves. Yeah, I mean, it's strange that men and women would seek to distinguish themselves from one another, given that we are a sexually dimorphic species. This idea is sexist and on its face, and it's sexist on its face, and it's unsettling that we so rarely think of it that way. In fact, we should be suspicious of males who strongly identify as men, as we are of white people who strongly identify as white. Look how we always find a way to link manhood with now whiteness and white supremacy, because there's certainly no recorded evidence of non-white males doing anything that this feminist would consider objectionable. We should understand in hindsight that one of the reasons women were so keen to embrace masculinity in the first place was because it feels good to feel superior. What the? Women embrace masculinity because men and women have evolved through this little process that Darwin documented called sexual selection. Men and women have evolved sex-specific preferences in the opposite sex. That mechanism has been documented in countless sexually reproducing species, and humans are no different. And therefore, men seek certain attributes in women, and women seek certain attributes in men because it is an evolutionary imperative to do so for sexually reproducing species. It is the fundamental process by which sex-specific traits and behaviors evolve. So that women are attracted to masculine men is not because this is post-Trump or because they've been brainwashed to believe that through Hollywood images. It's because it makes adaptive sense for them to be attracted to a certain type of man, just like a female crab is attracted to a particular type of male crab for adaptive reasons. Unbelievable. And we should recognize, now I'm continuing reading, and we should recognize as well that it is men's belief that they should be superior to women and other men that is the cause of so much of their rage, self-hatred, and suffering. As a matter of fact, much of conflicts that we see in evolutionary theory are not intersexual conflicts. It's not men versus women. It's intrasexual rivalry. So to the extent that men if you like, instantiate their masculinity, it's toward other men. It's intrasexual rivalry. And again, there are two mechanisms in sexual selection. There's intersexual wooing and there's intrasexual rivalry. These are the fundamental building blocks that make us who we are as humans. And so this professor of feminism or sociology or some combination thereof is literally negating the most fundamental definitions of what it is to be human and what it is to be a sexually dimorphic species. Now here's the hysteria is goes on steroid mode here. We are here in Trump's America in part because we have been too delicate in our treatment of dangerous ideas. The problem is not toxic masculinity. It's that masculinity is toxic. The state of being masculine is itself a problem. Men are now pathologized. To be a man is to be pathologized. Its appeal is its alluring promise that if we obey it, we can all bask in a sense of superiority over someone. Look at, again, the victimology ethos, right? To talk about masculinity is somehow to talk about the oppressor and the oppressed. It's simply not compatible with liberty and justice for all. Yes, because the ideas of liberty and justice came from non-binary, gender-fluid folks. If we are going to finish the gender revolution, then we need to call masculinity out as a hazardous ideology and denounce anyone who chooses to identify with it. We need to stop talking about what it means to be a, quote, real man or an, quote, empowered woman and begin talking instead about what it means to be a good person and a good citizen. Our nation's future depends upon it. Yes, of course, we should all seek to be good people, good individuals, and good citizens, and moral and ethical and law-abiding. No one contests that, but that doesn't mean that in seeking to achieve those goals, we reject a fundamental definition of what it is to be human, and that is that there is such a thing as masculinity and femininity, and that opposite sex attractions are fundamentally rooted in that recognition. The average 2-year-old knows that, but a professor of sociology at Occidental College thinks that we should eradicate the notion of masculinity. Because when women fantasize about their ideal mates, as documented in 13 trillion different data sources, they typically fantasize about a guy who sits in a corner, sucking his thumb in a fetal position, crying as a beta male, pear-shaped, nasal-voiced, while watching Bridget Jones's Diary. That's really the epitome of what women desire. And it's only Donald Trump that has taught women and men that they should aspire to be rugged, masculine, risk-takers, ambitious. You know, we need to do away with that. We need to return to a gentler period where all men sit in fetal positions, crying while listening to Taylor Swift. Slowly we inch to the infinite abyss of darkness. Have a good day, everyone.